What's up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horn, and this is the NWA. And if you're like a lot of people right now, you may just now have become aware of one of the hottest rising stars on the pro wrestling scene. Since making her debut by challenging Hikaru Shida in AEW, Thunder Rosa's stock has certainly been on the rise. But unless you are already a fan of the National Wrestling Alliance and independent pro wrestling, A, you really need to get on that, as you may have yet to discover some of your favorite wrestlers, and B, you may not know who Thunder Rosa really is as a competitor. Well, don't worry, baby birds, I'm here to feed you. Let's dive into the top 5 things you need to know about La Mera Mera herself, Thunder Rosa. Number 1. She's brand new to the business, but she's a world-traveled competitor. At this point in her career, Thunder Rosa's name is already very well regarded, but can you believe she's only been in the business for 5 years at the time of this recording? She's just a Thunder baby in terms of wrestling years. But don't let that fool you, because she is far from a baby in terms of her skill level and success in the ring, and she has fought hard to get there. Despite the possibility that you may not know Thunder Rosa yet, chances are she's fought some of your favorite competitors, and there's a high probability she's beaten them. Thunder's story has led her in and out of wrestling rings all over the world, and with her amazing drive and competitiveness, she's nowhere even close to stopping. Thunder's story starts right out of college. She and her husband made a decision to use his scholarship money to pay for wrestling school, and the teacher passed away before she even got to start. And no, she didn't even get the money back.
I always, since I was like 16, I was helping them with paying rent and like paying for bills and stuff like that. So I always, they felt like I had a responsibility to take care of them. But it came to a point in where for college, I was like, I told them I'm moving to Oakland. They're like, what's so far? You shouldn't go over there. And I was just like, because it's my future. And that's it. And then I became stubborn. Every time a big opportunity came and it looked impossible, I just, especially with my husband on my side, I just looked at him and I was like, do you think we can do this? I was like, well, if you fail, you fail. Like, let's try. So that's how we did it. And that's why when we lost the money, I remember that night very clearly in Oakland, I was crying. And I'm like, man, how the fuck are we going to do this? That was $3,000. That was my future in wrestling. And we looked at each other and then we're like, you know what? We both had a feeling. I was like, you're going to go far. Let's stick to it. This is going to be hard, but we're going to go far. And we're going to make fucking 20,000 times more money than what we lost. And we did. Not 20,000, but we're getting there.
Thunder Rosa did go on, however, get trained and become very good very fast, working her way around the independent scene and having her first televised match in 2015. In just several months, she was already asked to Japan to compete with the legendary Stardom Company. Within a year, Thunder had made her debut in Lucha Underground as the sinister Cobra Moon, taking the company completely by storm as the leader of the Reptile Tribe in Season 2, Episode 3 of the show. From there, after getting out of a sneaky contract, Thunder was able to continue competing wherever there was a fight to be had. From Ring of Honor to teaming with her best friend and amazing rival Holodead as the Twisted Sisters, Thunder Rosa has seen it all, including one of her most recent endeavors, traveling to Tokyo Joshi Pro, where she battled her way into eventually challenging and defeating Maki Ito for the International Princess Championship, becoming the very first gaijin to ever hold a title in Tokyo Joshi Pro. That's quite a legacy already. All of this, of course, led her right back to the United States, where she won perhaps her most important victory, but more on that later. Number 2. She's a trained MMA fighter as well. Making the transition from wrestling to MMA or vice versa isn't necessarily a new thing to the sport. But although the world knows folks like Ken Shamrock, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, and Ronda Rousey, did you know that aside from being a top-tier professional wrestler, Thunder Rosa also trains heavily in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and has competed professionally as a mixed martial artist? In September of 2019, it was formally announced that Thunder Rosa, under her real name, Melissa Cervantes, had signed with Combate Americas and would be taking her first fight in San Antonio, Texas. On November 8, 2019, Thunder Rosa took on Nadine Mundillo in a spirited contest that would take both ladies through all 3 rounds. I can't recommend enough the great doc leading up to the fight that is over on the NWA YouTube channel and was featured on NWA Power Episode 8. I'll link it in the bio, as it's a great glimpse into the time before and directly after the fight. But needless to say, the fight ended up being a great display by both women that went all 3 scheduled rounds. Unfortunately, Thunder Rosa did lose by unanimous decision. One of my personal favorite things, though, is that after the fight, Thunder Rosa seemed completely unfazed by the loss and instead rather optimistic, which we got to discuss in one of our interviews.
How did you feel like at that ending, like when it has to go to the judges and stuff?
I wish I would have thrown more fucking punches, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't start feeling comfortable until the 3rd round, but then it was a little too late. But I am very proud that I got in the cage. I am really proud that I didn't back down, no matter what was thrown at me, no matter what was said, and no matter that we had a ton of people watching. You know, that didn't scare me at all. So I'm just ready for the second one because I want to do better, and I want to be a better fighter.
Trust me, this lady is inspiring, which leads us to Number 3. She's an amazing example outside of the ring as well. Luckily, we've had a chance to speak with Thunder Rosa on several occasions, so I can personally vouch for this. But even a casual observer can see that this is a woman that is worth the recognition she's now receiving, and certainly one for future generations to aspire to. Despite any past hardships or failings, not only does Thunder Rosa continue to pursue her craft, better herself, and strive for success, she also spends much of her time outside of fighting, supporting charity and advocating for honorable causes. Her work with the Salvation Army is a fixture if you follow her on Instagram, and even through the NWA's Girl Power venture, she's also taken the time to talk with fellow professionals Allison Kay and Marty Bell about the importance of mental health and the dangers of cyberbullying. This issue became especially important to Thunder after losing her friend Hana Kimura to suicide earlier in 2020. In fact, even the name Thunder Rosa comes from the name Thunder Road, which was a youth facility Thunder Rosa was a counselor at prior to fully investing focus into her wrestling career. On top of all of this, Thunder Rosa is also a promoter and entrepreneur, helping to start Mission Pro Wrestling in Texas, which is now an all-female driven wrestling promotion in the ring and behind the scenes. Thunder Rosa has been an outspoken advocate for women's wrestling in and out of the ring, and this was especially refreshing during the Speaking Out movement. Thanks to these competitors who will be having their first big show since the pandemic in September of 2020, females in the wrestling business now have yet another option to pursue their creativity in whatever aspect of the wrestling business they choose. And aside from all of this, she's just fun. Thunder Rosa leads a very popular social media brand focusing on not only these more serious issues, but also the lighter side of her life, including visits and insights into her training and workout regimens. In every experience we here on the show have had with Thunder Rosa, she has been kind, gracious, and overly generous with her time. We can't speak any more highly of who Thunder is outside of the ring. Number 4. She's the NWA Women's World Champion. Thanks partly to her strong personal branding and active online presence, on Season 1, Episode 4 of NWA Power, Thunder Rosa made her debut during the Billy Corgan-led era of the National Wrestling Alliance. Confronting Marty Bell after her loss to Ashley Vox, Thunder Rosa would begin a somewhat darker campaign as she would turn Bell against her friend and facilitate the return of wrestling superstar Melina to lead a faction against Allison Kay, threatening her long reign as the NWA Women's Champion. Thunder would continue absolutely dominating NWA Power through 2 seasons and 1 pay-per-view, remaining undefeated leading into her long-awaited title challenge against Kay at the NWA Hard Times pay-per-view on January 24th, 2020. Stealing the show, these two women would have one of the best matches of the year at the pay-per-view, but unfortunately for Kay and her reign, Thunder Rosa's momentum proved to be too much, and after a brutal fight, Thunder Rosa would take the pinfall win and begin her first reign as NWA Women's World Champion, holding the Legacy Championship belt that NWA fans have affectionately dubbed the Burke, which can see its lineage traced back to the legendary Mildred Burke in the 1930s. Truly a legendary champion and championship. Thunder's first challenger for the title was of course Allison Kay, exercising her rematch clause in which the women tore it up one more time on NWA Power episode 17, with Thunder still managing to come out on top. A lot of women have since expressed interest in challenging for that championship, and Thunder has been totally willing to face all challengers, including taking the belt outside of the National Wrestling Alliance to prove her dominance as the real women's champion, including defending it at her own Mission Pro in September. Which finally brings us to number 5. Have challenge, will travel. One might think that when you're a dominant world champion, prize fighter, and promoter, you might use the opportunities presented in a lockdown to take a break. Not Thunder Rosa. Never one to settle, Thunder Rosa jumped at the very first chance for competition as soon as it was able to be presented in 2020. Since life had started to open up a little, Thunder's already announced that she'll be appearing on United Wrestling Network and NWA's Primetime Live on Fight TV, and she's agreed to defending the NWA Women's World Championship against the very dangerous American Kaiju Lindsay Snow at Mission Pro Wrestling's Hell Hath No Fury on September 18th, 2020, available on the Title Match Network. That's already a pretty busy September. But in arguably her biggest move to date, Thunder Rosa showed that promotional boundaries can be but a minor hurdle when it comes to what matches fans want to see. When Hikaru Shida, as the reigning AEW Women's Champion, issued an open challenge for her Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa wasted no time. Appearing on the August 22nd edition of AEW Dynamite, Thunder Rosa made very clear her intention to dominate the wrestling world and accepted Shida's open challenge for her title. Fortunately for the fans, NWA owner William Patrick Corgan and AEW owner Tony Khan were able to work out a deal that would allow us all to see what once would have been thought to be an impossible match to arrange. Now, on AEW's All Out pay-per-view on September 5th, these two epic competitors will face off in a battle for dominance. Of course, that was too long to wait for Thunder Rosa to go without a fight, so she also showed up on the September 2nd episode of AEW Dynamite to compete with Serena Deeb in a fantastic match ahead of that contest, likely intending to use this as an opportunity to make a statement before her upcoming champion versus champion battle with Shida. Does this lady ever take a nap? Our advice? Don't issue an open challenge for something you value if you don't want Thunder Rosa showing up at your door to take it. Alright, that's it for this week, guys. Make sure you follow Thunder Rosa on her YouTube channel and all of her social medias, which are at Thunder Rosa 22. We'll also link them in the bio. If you'd like to follow me, I am at This Is Gary Horn, and the show is at The NWA Pod. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and give this video a like if you found it interesting. Thank you for all of your support, and let us know who you'd like to see next on A Things You Need to Know.